Train the muscles, not the joints. So welcome back to Natural Land Bodybuilding. And yesterday in the Facebook group, I had somebody ask me about what is positive failure. Like, what does it mean to go to failure when you're doing a set of bench presses or bicep curls or squats? What does it mean? Now, I changed the definition of failure depending on the weight that I'm using. And I've talked to you guys a lot about this. First of all, hitting positive failure means you do as many reps as you possibly can do until you can't do any more. Now, there are a few stipulations around this to make sure that you make this safe. Now, it's important to remember that positive failure means that you do the rep with the right form, the correct form.
This is how you don't hit failure.
You get my point. So I'm all about cheat reps and everything, but there are safe cheat reps and then there are dangerous cheat reps. An example of a dangerous cheat rep would be rounding your lower back when you're deadlifting and just straining and shaking your way through that rep and just grinding that rep out. That would be a bad rep. I would say you already hit positive failure with the right form before that rep happens. Okay, so that's what's important to remember, is that you want to basically make sure your form stays safe. Positive failure means you do as many possible reps within the safety range. Now, when you're bicep curling, it's okay to lean back a little bit or whatever, that's fine. I'm okay with pushing yourself deeper into failure with that type of deviation on form because it's not dangerous like rounding your back with deadlifts, okay? So this is going to change the definition of failure depending on the exercise that you are doing. So as far as bench presses goes, positive failure, absolute failure, which is tough to hit because when you're doing heavier weights, it's easier to hit failure than when you're doing light weights. And what I'm trying to say to you here is that the threshold of pain is much higher when you're doing super high amounts of reps. You know, that burn that gets so deep in there that it hurts so bad, you could still push a few more out, but sometimes you're like, well, maybe tomorrow, right? And you've seen me do this. Sometimes I'm like, no, it just hurts too bad for me to go further. It doesn't mean that I couldn't or I shouldn't, because going deeper into failure does produce more results in the long run in most cases. I mean, there are times where you don't want to go to failure, rejuvenate the energy supply, rejuvenate the body, not burn it out. Yes, but what I'm saying is when you're going to hit positive failure, you hit failure. You cannot do another rep. Now that said, some people are like, well, should I wait till I actually fail? No, what you do is you get honed in and you can actually feel when you're going to hit failure. Like I know when I'm hitting, say I'm doing 15 reps on something and I can feel whether I can get that next rep or not. Now some of you guys don't have this awareness yet, but you will develop it over time as you keep on getting close to that failure range. So yeah, you don't want to, especially if you don't have a spot, you definitely don't want to hit that place where you can't actually do the rep, where you only do a half a rep. I'd say stop right before you hit the failure where you can't do the extra rep. Meaning if you can do 15 reps, do the 15 reps. And if you aren't sure about that 16th rep, don't attempt it if you don't have a spot or you can't do it safely. All right, that's the definition. I hope that's clear enough. But the other thing is with deadlifts and squats or bent over rows, the one thing, and I'm very clear about this in my training programs, and it's in the small print right there, right before you even start the program, it says, failure for squats and deadlifts is something different than, say, failure during bicep curls or bench press. Because failure in squats and deadlifts, it's very important for you to make sure that you maintain form. So the minute you feel that your lower back is deviating, it's starting to round or starting to wiggle back and forth, that's it, you already hit failure. Failure means the last rep that you can do with proper form, that's when you stop. You don't push beyond the capacity where you can maintain proper form, because if you deviate too much in that form, you'll actually get an injury. So what's the point of that, right? So you want to hit positive, safe failure. Now, the other thing I want to say is when you're using super heavy weights, so say you're in the 5 to 6 or 4 rep range, it's okay to be a little bit conservative when it comes down to that failure range. And I'm going to say this, when you're hitting that heavy of rep range, that heavy of intensity, that high intensity stuff where you're only doing 4 or 5 reps, you don't want to have too many of those reps where you're just shaking and just grinding it out. You want to make sure they're safe, right? But when you're grinding something out and all of a sudden you lose balance on one side or the other side, that's where you will tear something or pull something really badly. So you want to maintain control of the weight. Control is very important. So when you're pushing, it should be pretty smooth, even if it's a bit slow, but it should be pretty smooth. You don't want to be just grinding just at this one spot and then just pushing through all the time. I find those reps are the most dangerous reps. And I would say that classifies as beyond failure. I mean, it's almost like I'd rather you stop a rep before you get to that grinder rep and then do another set instead of try to push through that rep, which is a little unstable and too much straining. Okay, when you're straining too much like that, that's when something can pop, something can tear, something can happen to your physique or to your joints or something. So we don't want that to happen, right? I'd rather you take an extra set and hit that weight again after you've had a bit of rest and do some nice smooth reps. That's a safer way to do it, and that's why I think the powerlifters do have it right in this capacity where they make sure their reps when they're using the heavy weight, they always have 1 rep in the tank. You know, they always have 1 rep in the tank where they could probably do another rep if they really strained it out. But they don't take that rep because that's the most dangerous rep for injuries. And when you're working with the high intensity or the high weights, you know, the weights where you can only get 5 or 6 reps on a good day, you want to make sure that those reps are safe. Right? So the heavier you go, the more conservative you take that failure thing. You know, you'll see people strain out a rep sometimes with super heavy weight to get that extra rep. And I'm not saying it's wrong to do it, but it's definitely more dangerous to do this if you do this too much. And so that's really what I have to say about that. So I hope this helps you understand what positive failure is in working out, in doing sets and reps. I hope this helps you understand how not to hurt yourself, but at the same time push that muscle so that an adaptation happens and that you grow muscle. An adaptation. Say that 3 times fast. That's actually pretty hard to say. Seriously, I don't know. Anyway, so I hope this helps you out. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And if you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturallandbodybuilding.com and take care for now. And thanks a lot to the Patreon supporters out there. I've got a couple of them now. I'm hoping a few more you guys will jump on board and help support this channel and help me make more content for you. So take care for now, and I'll see you later.